experiences, concerts, sporting events, theatre plays, museums, life arts, sciences, everything. I'm gonna expose it to her. Everything. She's gonna be full of activities. Yeah. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And you guys, I'm greeting ear to ear. Today's Sunday. I just got back from church and I've done another video and I popped on another dress just to do this video. I got this video idea from a poll that I put on my Instagram. I was talking about people should drop me their like video requests and video ideas, and people are really answering. Honestly, being on YouTube, getting inspiration, doing videos that fits into my content genre could be quite a little bit of brainstorming, working with the Holy Spirit, inspiration, doing things when there's time. My daughter is sleeping now, so I'm able to do this video. Once she wakes up, I'm going to on mommy duties. But I really like this topic, and as you can have seen from the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about things that I learned from my parents that I definitely am passing down to my child. I'm not even going to say going to, I'm passing down to my child. So I'm going to try to make this video, short and sweet. A couple of things that are more serious and little things that are just a little bit not too serious. Yeah. So if you'd like to know more, definitely keep watching. Okay, first things that I would take off the top of my head, obviously, is raising my child in the way of the Lord. And I'm talking at home and outside. I grew up with a parent that, my parents now, but I'm speaking specifically on my dad. My dad gave his life to Christ, I think, 2 years after I was born. He was a Christian, maybe a churchgoer. He's always been in the choir. He played the piano. Always been in church. His mom too was always in church. His dad too, maybe not really too much before he passed away. But my dad is alive, thank God. He's a very diligent person. I'm talking, the song, rain came, wind blew, my house is built on you. That's a description of who my father is. And I would even say my parents in general, when it comes to like growing in the faith and being diligent. And I'm not just talking about waking up in the morning, doing prayers, morning devotion. I'm not talking about things like that, their own personal time. Obviously, I only saw them from a child's perspective, but I really admired how diligent my parents were when it comes to Sunday services. You guys, we lived in where I grew up from, I would say maybe when I started understanding myself, maybe age 5 to about maybe age, when I was in secondary school, 14 or 15. We lived in Lekki, opposite, is it what they call them of this beach now? Lekki Beach. Femi Kuno Estates, that's where we lived in Lekki at that time before we moved further down. And my parents' church was all the way on the mainland, like Mushin, Papa Jau, like all those areas. And you guys, we were never late to church. My parents, this was, even on Sundays, this was like maybe 45 minutes to 1 hour drive to and fro. My parents were always there. They were Baptists, they are Baptists, although, which I'll come to later in this video, and they were always in church. My dad served, my mom served. My dad used to work in the accounts department of the church, so people that work in the inside, like ushering, packing baskets and all of that, when I started noticing what he was doing in the church. And this is something that I want to pass to my child. There's something that I learned. Whatever you make optional will become non-important to your child. It's taken me a long time to digest that, but it's true. If you go to church maybe 3 times in a year, why do you think your child would think it is? Except by the mercies of God, if they encounter God by themselves later in life, they will understand the place of fellowship with other like-minded believers. And I'm putting in this first out there because obviously the core of my life is built on the foundations that my parents have laid for me. There's so many scriptures that I call from my spirit without checking out because of how much time I spent in the children's department, Sunday school, going to church. After church, I have pictures. I really pray to go home. I was scanning a lot of my, childhood pictures of me after church, being on the microphone, practicing preaching on the pulpits when everybody has, gone home. So I used to do Bible sword drill, just that diligence of not seeing church as a burden. My parents instilled that to me, and this is something that I'm passing on. If like, except maybe you know, it's not an option. It's not an option. So I'm not just going on time is so important for me. And I'm so passionate about this because a lot of believers in this our generation, they think that they can just teach their child in the word, which is true, or but they forget that there's the place of the church in the child's life, and there's a place of parenting in the child's life. That's why your parents are not your only friends. There's also the place of friendship in a child's life. You cannot say because you're such a loving mother, you now deprive yourself or your child rather from the social skills of interacting with other people's children. There's a place for everything. So there's a place for church as well. So that's the first thing I'll definitely want to instill in my child, the appetite for the things of God, a healthy appetite for the things of God. First things first. Prayer, meditation, waking up in the morning, non-negotiable. Even when I was in the depths of, being a baby Christian and not knowing what I was doing, church was still a priority for me. And perhaps, the Bible says Paul planted, Apollo watered, God gave increase. Those sermons have contributed to the woman that I am today. So that's the first thing I would definitely want to pass on to my child. A knowledge of God by experiential knowledge of God. Second thing as well I would like to, instill in my child from my parents is can-do spirits. Regardless of even the environment that they were born from, my parents always had this mindset of they don't need anybody's help to do basic tasks. I remember growing up then and, applying for visas to travel out of the country as a child. I'm talking as young as, for me to remember, maybe 7, 8, 9. I remember that. I remember that we had friends and family friends that would always pay people to like do their visas for them. But me and my dad used to do it together. We would sit down with the computer I remember we had a computer room then growing up, and the really huge Windows 97 desktop, or you remember those desktop that has those old those. I'll try and put a picture in case Gen Zs are watching me and they don't know what I mean. And my dad would connect, I don't know if you remember multi-links, the LAN, LAN internet to the laptop. And that was the way we would have to, sometimes I'll carry the phone. My younger brother then will carry the antenna, just so that the internet can connect. And then we'll now be seeing like a computer, another computer, then a globe. The thing will be showing that. If you know what I mean, please, you can leave a comment, and it will be going. And when it says connected to the internet, we'll quickly rush, open the US consulate, UK consulate website, so we can fill our visas ourselves. And they always approved our visas. I mean, throughout when I had to apply under my parents with my family. And that same, just in those little things, just teaching self-sufficiency. Before asking questions, Googling things. My dad buying books to learn more about things. My mom not asking people like unnecessary questions. Like just that self-sufficiency, which I find that a lot of adults, and I don't say this, to look down on anybody, because as I said, social constructs are different. If your parents do not even know how to use a computer, they might not be able to teach you, these things in this regard. I do everything myself, you guys. I've never had to pay an agent for anything in my entire life. In my entire life. My university admissions, I did it on my phone. My master's admission, I did it on my phone. All the visas I've ever had to apply for, I even help people. I've done videos on YouTube on spousal visa applications. Anything that I need, my first instinct is to do it myself. And I don't take this for granted, because there are many adults, even older than me, that just believe that if they do it by themselves, they'll make a mistake. They don't have that confidence. And I think that my parents actually instilled that confidence of doing things by myself. And even if I make a mistake, so what? I'll correct it and I'll do it again. You understand what I'm saying? In me, and I intend to pass that to my daughter. In fact, and I'll give you a case in point scenario. If maybe my daughter says, I say, okay, Isla, wear your Crocs or wear your shoes. And she'll say, I can't do it. I say, no, darling, try again. I don't help her. If anybody wants to help her, I'll say, leave her, let her do it by herself. When she does it, I can see the pride gleaming in her face. She'll say, oh, I did it, good job. And I'm like, yes, you did it. Well done. I started teaching my daughter, like, she has a small kids Bible that's only about maybe 12 or 15 pages. Just, key Bible, accounts. And we started doing, Bible stories. And a part of me was feeling like, is she really understanding, everything that I'm teaching her? But we started doing sword drill. My daughter is 3, you guys. And I'll tell her to hold a Bible like this. And I'll say, open to Joseph and the coat of many colors. And she gets it. Just that if I when I want to say, maybe she goes past the page and obviously subconsciously I want to maybe try to, she'll say, no, mommy, I can do it. I'm so proud because in as much as obviously I'm human and sometimes I make mistakes, she knows now that that's self-sufficiency, and I hope she continues on that trajectory. Also, with my first point about being diligent to the things of God, my daughter knows now. Sunday, non-negotiable. You're up, we're out of the door. If you like, say you cry till tomorrow, we're going to go to church. It's already becoming a lifestyle for her. She's looking forward to it. In church, she's always dancing in front. The joy of the Lord, I want to teach my daughter. So those are the first two things I want to instill in my daughter that I learned from my parents. Another thing that I learned from my parents is being generous. This one, God really needs to help me because this is our own time. It's not like their own time. But my parents, my mother, my goodness, I'm even missing already. See, these people, they are not perfect though. My parents, too, they have their own. Maybe when God has delivered me from all the things, I will definitely maybe share if I'm led to share, or if they are even here and then we'll do the video together. The things that we've gone through together. You guys, my parents are not perfect though. Trust me, if I could write a book on the things that have happened between me and my parents, just my growing up, my upbringing, and all these things, oh, it will probably be a bestseller. Just parent-child dynamics, even till today. So maybe when my mom is here or my dad is here, we might do a video together and talk about, interesting challenges that we've had as parent to child and how we've actually crossed that. By God's grace, when they come, we'll do this video. And it's being generous. Gosh. My mom is so generous. I remember growing up then, Christmas period, my mom would buy and my dad would buy bags of rice, oil, chicken, share to people as hampers. And it's not like you guys, we were not like the president's children. My parents were honest. My mom was a trader, she had shops. My dad was an accountant, as I said. Like I think he was working that time, probably was into still working as a finance, maybe manager in the company that time. But they had that desire to always give. Our house was the house where all cousins came for summer. Our house was the house where my mom, if I have an auntie coming from America, my mom would do all the shopping, go and pick them from the airport. Very hospitable. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Extremely hospitable people. Right now, something that I know I give out a lot is my clothes. Like I don't really have attachments to clothes anymore. Thank God. I give that. One time, I just give it to somebody, I give it out. And I learned it from my mother. My mother, yeah, you like it, she'll give you. Like that's kind of person she was. So I really covet that level of grace, of generosity, hospitality. And it's so funny. I think I did one video with my husband when we're talking about things maybe we liked about each other. I'll see if I can link the video. And my husband said one of the things that he likes about me is he thinks I'm very hospitable. And that really, made my heart, really warm because it's something I know that in as much as I grew up without understanding, something I've also actively worked towards because in this country it's very hard to be hospitable. Trust me, it's very hard. Everybody is, people are really working hard. The system is a bit different. It's not like it's not communal. Everybody minds their business. But here I try to invite people over. I have so much inventory in my house, guys, but I still try. Oh, do you want to come for Christmas? Do you want to come and eat? As in, there's a thing that I do every year, and I trust God that I'll continue to do it. I invite like international students that I'm friends with that just came into the country, and 3 or 4 of them, or maybe 2, they'll come over, they'll eat, I'll cook for them during Christmas. Because I know that it gets really lonely in this country. And they go back home, and what does it cost me? Not even makes my Christmas more memorable. I pray that God will continue to allow me to be able to do that and more in Jesus' name. And just learning that generosity. I think, guys, it's getting really moody, so in case this video gets dark, generosity for my parents is another thing that I learned, and I want, to instill in my daughter by God's grace that she'll be able to give. She won't have so much attachments to things, in Jesus' name, amen. Another thing that I learned, guys, I probably can do 20 points I learned from my parents that I plan to pass on to my child is being sharp. My mother. Hey. See, if the spirit of excellence in dressing, that's my mom. My mom will never let us leave the house looking scruffy. You guys, I don't take this for granted. To God be the glory for the opportunity. One compliment that I know I always get is how put together my daughter looks. From her nursery to church to play areas to playground to even my neighbors. My daughter has to look neat. Me, I'm a neat person, so it's not negotiable. My mother taught me that. Like, being neat, before you go out, take that extra 2 minutes, iron your dress. Okay, my dad is an ironer. And I'm going to go to that in my next point. Like, iron your shirt, wash the shirt, keep the collar neat, polish your shoe, buy matching tights. Why are you wearing a striped dress for a 3-year-old and the tights are polka dots? Come on now. Come on. What would it take you to buy a plain sock tie, a tights? Just combining colors, being simple, modest, but look good. You guys, if you follow me long, and if you notice I don't really wear earrings, not because I don't like jewelry, I love earrings, I love statement jewelry, I even sell them, but I've realized that jewelry makeup is not what makes me look good. I have videos, I probably went, go and check my Instagram, of me not wearing a stitch of makeup. I just have my hair properly, nicely done. My dress is ironed, and I think I still look beautiful. In fact, I even get compliments on those videos that you look good. Just look neat. Just be neat. I learned this from my parents, like my mother especially. Oh my goodness, God bless her for teaching me that. So I definitely plan to, teach my daughter that. And my dad, which is my next point, is ironing. My dad is one person that I know that in Nigerian currency can buy an iron worth 300k. In pounds, it can buy a 300 pounds iron. Yes, iron to iron. I don't play with things like that. I will buy the top of the line iron, and it's something I've actually taught my husband now. My husband too. Once our iron has small marks, already like we should do and change it. Ironing is a chore that does not stress me. People say I hate ironing. That's not me. I love it. I can't go out and my dress, you'll be seeing wrinkles. It's like as if I have flies all over me. That's how I don't like it. Except maybe it's linen, that no matter how you iron it, it will still rumple. But my go-to is to make sure that my clothes are neat. It's another thing that I learned, from my parents. Another thing that I learned from my parents is contentment. And being grateful for, just be content. See, there's some people that when you see them and they are not content, they are trying to be social climbers. Sometimes, if you check their parents too are the same. They also want to be, my mommy calls it carry me, like, notice me. They always want to be. I learned contentment from my parents. If it's one bag you have, carry it neat. If this is what you have for this season of your life, make it look good. If God has blessed you with a 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom home, make it look good. Be content. Celebrate other people. Don't now, because you want to put the cart before the horse and the horse will be at the back instead of the front. You're not going to be living above your means, taking loans you're not supposed to take, doing fraud. You might not even do all of those that, but you don't have peace. Or you are not living a shadow of yourself. You can't, for example, now I just said earlier that I have so much inventory currently in my home. Some people, for them, they'll be like, until God takes me to that place where I have like 3 garages, they will not be productive. I'm not that kind of person. I don't care if you see 3 cartons in my video as I'm doing my reels. That's your business. Me, I know what I'm doing. I know the money that is entering my bank account. So anything you like, to the glory of the Lord, you can say. But being content in your season. Like, God, this is what I have. This is, if you cannot afford to go to Maldives, Morocco, Italy, Turkey, Spain, and it's just Yorkshire you can go, please go there. Have a great time. There's something I always tell people, that you can have the whole world and I can have Gary, but if I'm drinking that Gary, it will be entering your eye. And I am proud of it, that everything I have, in fact, before I obviously started earning more by myself, and I used to buy maybe clothes from like, I call them fast fashion, New Look, Primark. I will wear clothes. People will ask me, where did you get it from? The same brands that everybody buys. It's not because I style it in a very different way, but I have my own sense of style. Maybe I might not be able to have been able to afford the brands that I wear now, but contentment, loving what I have, being proud. Then I'll still target New Look. That's your business. If you scroll down to my Instagram, I'll still target shirts, Primark, trouser, tailor. It's not only when you wear Gucci, Prada, you're wearing 300-pound, necklace, 600-pound dress before you are now able to now live your life. There are people that are literally a shell of themselves. There are people that even go back, they go and delete all the content that they have created when they were not of a certain status just because of they just want to look the part. I even feel you're even more fake. People can see through the BS. You understand what I'm saying? Let me give more context to this topic about, whatever season you're in, be proud of it. I remember when I found out a couple of years ago that the first house that my parents actually moved into when they got married was actually my mom's house, my mom's property. She was working in a company that time. It was a Lagos Building Investment Company. I think it was a company set up to help people to buy houses then, not like mortgage, but mortgage that time, like a building society of some sort. I think Jaconde had now built some, more affordable housing, low cost housing estates, and she had the opportunity to buy one, and she bought it. And this was probably in Ipaja, in Lagos, like Abeson area. If you know Nigeria. It's not like, would I call it, it's not trenches because there's trenches there, the roads are tarred, everything is okay. It's just middle class, right? And obviously, there are very wealthy people that live in that area as well. Just for context, that's why I'm saying all those things. And how my dad moved there, because my dad at that time was building his own first property, which was in Ikotun, Igbe. Now, this was a duplex, a twin duplex. My dad was building it. I think they lived in that house for like maybe 2 or 3, 4, maybe 5 years. I can't even remember now. It's been such a long time. They lived there for a while. Then they moved to my dad's own building in Igbe. Then, obviously, as they begin to, grow in their marriage, from there they moved to our first house on the island, which was in Lekki, which was what I said, Femi Okuno Estate. And from there, from glory to glory, more properties, for my parents, thank God, things like that. And I've realized that through every season, my parents were productive. My mom had a shop in front of that Ipaja house. She had a small kiosk there. She was selling gift items. When they moved to Egbe, she had 2 shops there that she rented out one, and the other one, I think she used it for like maybe like cold room. I'm not really sure where it was. She was there. Then when they moved to the island, my mom had shops. You just have to be productive every season of your life. You can't just say because this is the lot that God has given you, you have this type of phone. And I don't want you to think about properties, because some people say, I've not even finished eating 3 square meals, but it's property I've been thinking about. No, but even things like phone, because you have a phone that the camera is not really good, will you not now create content? You do what you have, you live within your means, you are content, you're productive in that season so that God can elevate you and entrust you with more. If you are a person and God gives you, like the parable of the talents, go and study. There's no need for me to give too much analogy on this topic. Go and study the parable of the talents in the Bible and see that to whom much is given, much is expected. When God gives you one and you do the one well, then He can give you more. Do you understand? Okay. So that's another thing that I learned from my parents. Contentment. You would never find me keeping up with the Joneses. It's not my thing. I've never been that person. In fact, the fact that the whole world is even doing it even makes me even feel like maybe it's a sin. That why is everybody doing it? So that's one thing I learned, and I pray that by God's grace I'll teach my daughter, to do that. Another thing that I learned from my parents, maybe this is point 4 or 5 now, I've lost my train of numbers, is exposing her to educational content very early and exposure of traveling. Now, I grew up with people that their parents probably even had way much more than my parents had, but their exposure was very limited in terms of the choice of words they use, the books they read, their vocabulary, the experiences they had, places they went to. It's like even till now, I find out that unconsciously, a lot of our generations that even have the money are replicating these things. I have a reel that I've filmed, but I want to release that reel later in the year, just because of the information in the reel. I'll release it later in the year. And I talked about, when I travel with my child or as a family together, some things that are important to me. And the first thing that's important to me is you see here, I live in the UK, and you see maybe many Nigerians, they come on holiday, and the only places they go to is Primark. They go shopping in House of Fraser, Louis Vuitton, go and take pictures in front of McDonald's, go to fine dining restaurants. The one that go clubbing, they go clubbing. You see the monumental things in Glasgow, such a historical city, you will not find them there. These I'm not talking about international travelers. I've even found the same pattern even with the ones that live in here. So when the idea of fun is going out to eat, going for Owambe party, nothing educational. And I say, I just hope this does not come off, derogatory. Sometimes truth hurts. One thing I learned from my parents is that when we travel abroad, my dad had an itinerary of monumental places you must visit. It's not enough for you just go, you go and eat. You must go to everywhere. All the Trafalgar Square, London Eye, Museum of Science. I'm using England now, for example. Everywhere, botanical gardens, you must go. You must know that you have seen, you've learned, you understand statues, you're able to use the proper lingua, you are educated in experiences, not just book smarts. You are educated in experiences. This is one thing I want to pass to my daughter. My last holiday with my husband, myself, my husband, and my daughter, we went to Marrakesh for both our birthdays, Morocco. Before we went, I already done my itinerary. We went camel ride, mountain climbing, hiking, mini hiking, obviously because she's so young. We did mini hiking. We went to the market. We experienced local foods. We went to like tours, actual things that I know that when my daughter now hears the word camel, she understands it. She's seen it. She's reading on it. She experiences it. She understands what a mountain is. She might not understand words like, altitude, degrees, all those things like differences in cultures. But if we continue on this trajectory, she would be very vast. That's why, when people play things like current affairs, I find that I'm actually very good at games like that. Me, I don't like to play games. I'm always the anchor because I don't like all this competitive something. It's not really my thing. But I find out that I actually know many answers because of just the experiences that I was brought up with. So it's the same thing I want to, pass on to my child, the gift of experiences. I know that I've seen a word on Instagram saying that there's a difference between vacationing and traveling. I agree, but I feel like for a child's formative years, you should be traveling, not vacationing. You should be exposing them to a different type of education that is not in the four walls of a classroom. So things like, pottery classes, things that they can do outside the four walls of a classroom and they can still learn, going for shows, going for game nights. In fact, the last holiday that we went to, they had this um room, like an entertainment area, like a cinema for children, right? And they were all the songs they were singing were not in English, right? Because I think because it was Moroccan, they were singing maybe in Russian and Spanish. The English was not really good in the resort that we stayed in. But I found out that my daughter knew two of the songs very well because a year before, when I took her to Turkey, the hotel that we stayed, they sang those exact songs there and she was able to remember. Honestly, it was a proud moment for me. Another one is Ram Zam Zam, Ram Zam Zam, Julie 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 Ram Zam. I was like, okay, girl, okay, my multilingual toddler, okay, and it brought me so much joy. This is a function of experiences. I'm not saying that everybody has access to ease of travel and all of that, but you don't even need to go international. I think my one time, the first ever getaway trip that I've done with my husband, besides obviously when I moved to the UK and all of that, was I think we just went to some caravan experience, one of the best experiences of our lives. It was a caravan experience all the way, I think, not Blackpool, Yorkshire. We drove by car. It was like a 4-hour drive. It was really nice. It was so amazing. And that opened up just my husband's mind because he's worked so hard, doing PhD. He's not really had time to go on trips. And we from then it's like we've had to add it to our calendar that it's like the same way is important that maybe we need to give, yearly or do something like that. It's the same thing for us as well. So I definitely want to pass the gift of exposure of experiences to my daughter. It's non-negotiable. In fact, I was telling someone the other day that before I was thinking that I'll be that month that obviously every year we'll plan a party for my daughter, birthday parties, because me, I just like people. But I've realized that in the last 3 years, she's 3 now, we've not done any big party. We've not even done any party for her. We've actually gone on trips on her every birthday, besides the first one that was during the pandemic. We've actually traveled on her every birthday. And when we come back, just carry cake and party pack to church, share with her friends, and she's happy. But I know that obviously as she grows older, when she begins to have friends, we definitely will do a birthday party for her. But also, I pray that we're in a place that we're able to afford her having a different country experience, yearly, to the glory of God. It just makes her a more well-rounded human being. So that's another thing I also want to pass on to my child, the gift of exposure and experiences. The last thing, if not, this video is going to be 3 hours long. Maybe I'll do a part 2. The last thing that I want to share about things that I learned from my parents that I think I'll pass on to my child is just how you know bookkeeping savvy we are. Like, we keep very good records in my family. The other day when my brother just came here to do his masters from England, and he went out, I think the first week of us living together in his adult life, he came back home and I sent money to him. I'm like, oh, what are you doing? I was like, oh, he's like entering all his expenses for the day. I couldn't believe it. I was like, let me see your Excel sheet, you guys. His Excel sheet was like of that of a business owner. So robust, so detailed. I was beaming with joy. I also am a record keeper, you guys. I keep records. I know how much I spent on everything. I just know. I that's just the way I was brought up. And my dad too is like that. My dad can tell you how much school fees he paid for me when I was in GSS 1 third term. Shabi is to find it on computer. Control F, he has already brought it out. Very meticulous, very good with money, very prudent, very savvy. Like, I will definitely, I've seen that pattern between me and my brother in Canada. I don't really know because we've not lived together in a while. I know that one, yeah, that one likes to spend, but I know that if we've learned everything is of how, bookkeeping, record keeping, keeping documents, keeping things safely, safekeeping, just managing your expenses well. I definitely learned from my dad. I said my dad is an accountant, my mom is a banker. So I grew up in a home of number savvy people. So I think that's one thing I learned from my parents that I definitely want to, pass it down to my daughter. Just being a little good more steward of the resources that you have, money, even if it's not money. Even like I remember I do a little bit of planning for my friends and family events planning. And my church, if I'm planning any event for my church, oh, my tummy is rumbling, I need to go. They already know. Somebody even complimented me and started saying, oh my God, it's so easy working with you. And it brought me so much joy. Like, I am so detailed. I would tell you how many guests came, how many children registered, how many people said they want to come with the church bus. See, tech is there for us to use. Do Eventbrite, do your Excel sheet, put the right questions, put the right variants, do it. You don't even need to extrapolate. Your formula, everything is there. That's the kind of person I am, and I hope that I'm able to also pass that, to my daughter. Yeah, so there's so many other things I can think of, but I know this video will be so long. But these are some things that I absolutely learned from my parents. I'm grateful for all these experiences. I'm grateful for all the learning curves. Even though a lot of them I did not appreciate them when I was a younger person. Like, why do I need to iron my shirt? Why do I need to always polish my shoe? Why do we have to go to this museum? But now I appreciate it now. I'm grateful for it. And I definitely, my daughter has no choice. I'm going to replicate them in her life by God's grace, and even better than my parents ever did, in Jesus' name. So that's it. Thank you so much to the person that suggested this video. It's a really good one, and I pray that you guys enjoy it. And feel free to leave your comments, anyone that stood out to you that you can relate with, or even things that your parents taught you that you definitely want to pass on to your child. Either you're a parent or not, we can always hope in future. So yeah, thank you again. Until next time, stay blessed. Bye bye.